Hey, Vinyl and YouTube community, this is Chris. It's Saturday evening, and I thought I needed to do a music update. I just got a box in the mail from oldies.com, so I thought I'd do a live opening. I think I had seen a video by Gregory Short, and he'd made an order, or received an order from oldies.com. And something he said made me think I should check it out, and they seem to have some reasonable prices on some of the things, so I bought a few records. I think only records. And so we'll see what I have. So I started the opening. And they sent this catalog with it, so it looks like this one seems to be all DVDs. That might be interesting. And the packing slip. So let's see what we've got in the way of the albums. First one's Peter Lang, American Stock, a guitar collection. So Peter Lang is an acoustic guitarist, sort of in the John Fahey, Fred Gerlach, Robbie Bashow vein, Tacoma Records. So this is a still sealed, pretty much sealed album from issued in 1985. So that should be good. Goiter, Land of Enchantment. Again, sealed, so I have to deal with the glare. On Cook label, 1980, looks like it was recorded in 86. Recorded in Santa Fe, New Mexico, so this, you might say it's in the New Age vein. Goiter, Land of Enchantment. And staying in that vein of music, Paul Horn, Inside the Cathedral. This is also the same label, Cook, distributed by Celestial Harmonies. This is previously released under the title Inside Russia, recorded in 1983 inside of the Kazimierz Cathedral in Vilnius. Whichever country Vilnius is, I guess that's supposed to be in Russia. So Paul Horn. And then another Paul Horn album, In Concert. This is 1984, Golden Flute Records. So Paul Horn, flute. I see My Funny Valentine is on one side, and Amazing Grace is on a song on the other side, but David Friesen on bass, Ralph Hooper organ, and then flute and sax by Paul Horn. So more. This is at St. Mary's Cathedral in San Francisco. So more New Age-ish music. This one is open. Claire Hamill, Stage Door Johnnies. Gatefold. On the conch label, 1974. Conch. Claire Hamill, Stage Door Johnnies. And then looks like I went overboard. Paul Horn, Inside the Taj Mahal. He seems to like indoor places. 1983. Cook. Paul Horn. And an early folk album, Randy Sparks, Hazy Sunshine. This is on MGM. Looks like it's curling a little bit from the shrink wrap. Randy Sparks went on to found, or he had already founded, I forget what year this record is, but either before or after this he founded New Christy Minstrels, so a folk pop group. Randy Sparks. There we go. Jonathan Lee, 1,000 Moods, solo piano on the might be on the Sona Gaia label. 1984 or Narada. I'll be able to figure it out when I open it. Solo piano, but probably mellow solo piano. Michael Jones, more piano after the rain. This is on Narada Lotus, 1988. And another Michael Jones, Sunscapes, so more solo piano, also on Narada, 1986. Margie Adam, We Shall Go Forth. This is on Pleiades Records, 1982. Inspiration for this album comes from the life and spirit of Malvina Reynolds, so an early folk pioneer. This would go in that video I had earlier of all these women's records on, I forget what label it was primarily, but maybe it'll come back to me by the end of the video. Margie Adams, Here Is a Love Song. Sticker says Midwest Music. This is also on Pleiades. sort of on the folk jazz side, I think. Tom Split. Quaver record, so this is solo piano, I think so, 1983, Tom Split. Fred Simon, short story, also on Quaver, 1984. And I think this is also, well, keyboards, not just piano, keyboards. Paul Metza, Paper Tigers. This is on 1984 on Raven Records. So this is, not sure if it's solo guitar, because he's thanking a bunch of people, but yeah, maybe it's not what I expected, but we'll find out. Holly Near, Hang In There. This is on Redwood Records. The name of that label almost came to me, some women's label that video was all about. This is 1973. Kind of folky, if I can guess what it might sound like without having heard it yet. Summer Sweet, Rising Sun. An exquisite blend of acoustic and electronic instruments. Teja Bell on things with strings like guitars and bass, and also synthesizer. Dallas Smith on Lyricon wind synthesizer, flute, and sax. So sounds like more new age-y stuff. And then the last one looks like Shalava, Reflections of Ivory, which makes it sound like a solo piano type album. Keyboards, Larry Goss Sherrill and Jones Rogers. So, two keyboardists. So, looks like an interesting mix of albums. I got a couple of CDs recently. Some of them, this one will fit right in with those other ones. Susan Ciani and the Seventh Wave live, 1997 on from Seventh Wave Productions. So Susan Ciani on keyboards, piano and synthesizers. Paul McCandless on sax. Teja Bell, who we just mentioned, on guitars. And a couple of other musicians. Peter Garland, After the Wars. This is solo piano. Peter Garland compositions as played by Sarah Cahill. This is an EP length CD. And then Peter Garland, Walk in Beauty. So this is one half is solo piano as played by Akita Takahashi, who played on a previous Peter Garland CD, and she's also done some other modern composers CDs or albums that she's played. And the Abel Steinberg Winnett Trio plays the other compositions on here by Peter Garland. This is 1992 New Albion Records. Then got this one, Different Tessellations, by Varian Weston as the composer, Leo Zversky, pianist, and the Vociferous Choir. So this is songs composed in pentatonic scales, 5-note scales by Varian Weston. This is even signed by Leo Zversky, the pianist. And it's got a little booklet with some visual representations of the tessellations. So one side solo piano, and then the other side is the Vociferous Choir doing the same songs in a vocal style, if I read this right. This is an Eminem release, Eminem Records 2011. And then related to this, I think I showed this before, John Rose and Varian Weston. So Varian Weston is the keyboardist. John Rose is playing some types of violin. These are all, it says, a selection of improvisations using different tunings derived from science, history, and the imagination. This is also released by Eminem, 2002, but I wanted to read one quote out of here from one of the songs. In search of the Pythagorean comma 1, finds our protagonists in a freezing cold theater in Venice, forced to warm themselves up by a vigorous exercise. Imagine Noncaro, Ligeti, and early Glass, all stoked up with amphetamines and let loose on Harry Partch's instruments. So that was Conlon Nancaro and Georgie Ligeti and Philip Glass. They're making reference to, all three do a lot of keyboard-oriented compositions. So that made it sound like it was very lively. Another CD I picked up, Ernesto Diaz Infante. It's that. Solo piano, 1997. Produced by Pax Recordings. And then the last one is piano and percussion. Sakis Papadimitriou and Lefteris Agorodakis. The album's called Plus and Minus. This is a 1997 release on Leo Records. So I picked up several other Sakis Dimitriou albums. I think this is the first one that's hasn't been a solo piano album. And then the last thing I had, there was got another order in here from Discogs, Hanson Records. So 2 CDs. First one is Home and Garden. Which, if you can see that, it says Post Per Ubu recordings from 1982 featuring Scott Krause, Tony Maimone, and Jim Jones. History and Geography is the title. This is a promo copy on Exit Stencil Recordings from 2008. Can't see anything that says promo there, just on the artwork itself. So I've got a vinyl version of Home and Garden, this album, but this has also includes the How I Spent My Vacation EP, and it has some session tracks. So an expanded version of the original vinyl album, Per Ubu related. And the other one is John Lewis, Evolution. On Atlantic, this is solo piano. First song title is Sweet Georgia Brown. Third one is Afternoon in Paris. Ninth title for Ellington. So Willow Wheat for me, title track 7. So it sounds like kind of traditional jazz. But John Lewis, solo piano in a jazz vein. And then 2 albums. This is sort of in classical. Ian Hobson playing Leopold Godowski's 18 Studies on Chopin Etudes on the Arabesque label. So more solo piano, but in a classical vein. And then this one is more sort of classical. Eugene Gradovich and George Flynn play the music of John Cage, Charles Ives, George Flynn, and Oliver Messiaen. This is on the Finadar label. So I'll probably do a follow-up on this if I haven't done one in advance of it. Maybe I've got an album here related to that. Yeah, this one, George Flynn, Wound, and John Cage, Winter Music. So 4 piano music for 4 pianos. George Flynn is the pianist. I think I have a sample of music that I'll include. This is also on the Finadar label. some other albums. They're more on the classical side, so I won't show them now. All right, I almost forgot. I had one other CD I wanted to show. I just seen. I had just watched a Dodson Loops video, and he showed Kevin Ayers' album that he'd gotten, Joy of a Toy, I think. I forgot the title, but I just got this Kevin Ayers CD. What more can I say? This is on Real Recordings. It was issued in 2008, and it's a collection of early 1970s performances from Kevin Ayers' personal and private reel-to-reel tape recordings. I guess hence the title, Real Recordings. So it's a little paper sleeve. CD looks like a reel or a tape player. And then the write-up by C.F. Fitzgerald. And there's another larger picture that they used for the cover shot, and it included a little flyer for the label. It says there's also a Kevin Ayers and the Whole World Hyde Park Free Concert 1970. It's available on Real Recordings. And the guy that wrote the liner notes, G.F. Fitzgerald, which is the reverse letters, G.F. and F.G., and Lowell Coxill on sax recordings. 3 fairy dance duets for electric guitar and soprano saxophone. So another offering on Real Recordings. I'll have to investigate the Kevin Ayers and the Whole World one, at least. Maybe the other one. So that was interesting, and it was interesting to find another Kevin Ayers recording that I didn't know about. So, all right, that should do it. Thanks, everybody.